February 24th marked the one-year anniversary of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. March 19 will be the 20th anniversary of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. It's time to target the hypocrisy in how we judge war crimes. The one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine has generated a barrage of coverage in Western media. The CBC, Canada's national broadcaster, spent all last week anchoring the national newscast from Kyiv in advance of the war's anniversary. The number of soldiers killed and wounded on both sides have been staggering. U.S. intelligence sources estimate that 90,000 Russians have been killed, wounded, captured, or deserted in the past 12 months. According to the United Nations, as of February 15, 2023, 8,006 Ukrainian civilians have been killed in the conflict, with 487 of those being children. Although those civilian deaths were caused by both Russian and Ukrainian military actions, the fact that Putin launched the invasion naturally makes him solely responsible for these losses. As such, Putin is a war criminal, but as the war continues to be waged, the total extent of his criminality has yet to be fully determined. Using that same moral yardstick, I wish to point out that March 19, 2023 will mark the 20th anniversary of the 2003 U.S.-led invasion of Iraq. It was on that date that 160,000 U.S. and Allied soldiers crossed the Iraqi border. The reason given for this violation of Iraqi sovereignty was it was an act of self-defense to protect the USA from President Saddam Hussein's alleged arsenal of weapons of mass destruction. Despite a detailed presentation at the United Nations by former U.S. General Colin Powell, the UN Security Council refused to sanction any invasion of Iraq. In the end, the UN's decision was vindicated, as the U.S. invaders failed to find any weapons of mass destruction for the simple reason that they never existed. U.S. President George W. Bush and UK Prime Minister Tony Blair had fabricated the threat of weapons of mass destruction in order to justify the removal of Saddam Hussein. Had the end result of the invasion been a healthy, prosperous, democratic Iraq, one could argue that Bush and Blair had broken a few eggs to create a savory omelet. Instead, the invasion led to a brutal occupation by U.S. forces, wherein the power vacuum created by Saddam's removal led to widespread, bloody interfactional violence. The estimates of civilians killed during the U.S. invasion and subsequent anarchy vary widely from around 250,000 to over 1 million violent civilian deaths. As with the war in Ukraine, the violence in Iraq has yet to be fully quelled, so the full extent of Bush and Blair's war crimes remains undetermined. However, make no mistake, in any rules-based international order, the invasion and occupation of a sovereign nation is a war crime. For those who want Putin held accountable for his actions in Ukraine, the same calls for justice are equally applicable to Western leaders like Bush and Blair. Anything else would be pure hypocrisy. This has been On Target. I'm Scott Taylor.